Thank you, Northfield Township Democrats, and thank you to Governor Pritzker for holding the line for Illinois. My name is indeed Karina Villa, and I am a state senator, but my most important title and favorite title I've ever held is that of Miss Villa. You see, I was a school social worker for 15 years before I ever ran for office. And the reason that I ran was because of the situation that was happening in Springfield when Rauner was not passing a budget. That was really impacting the working families that I worked with day in and day out. So I ran for office in 2018, I flipped a district, and then I flipped that Jim Oberweis seat in 2020. You're welcome. And now I am running to be the next Illinois State Comptroller, the people's watchdog, the people's voice, and the people's advocate when it comes to how our state spends your money. Yesterday, we all took to the streets, our streets, to send a powerful message that we have no kings in America. We stood shoulder to shoulder, not for politics, but for principle, to protect our democracy, to defend one another, and to demand a future where everyone, not just the wealthy few, gets to thrive. That's what this campaign is about. It's about protecting public education. It's about standing up for health care and our safety net hospitals. It's about defending our immigrant neighbors, our essential workers, and every family just trying to make it through the month. Let me be clear, we cannot do any of this if we do not stand up to Donald Trump's dangerous agenda. While he gives tax breaks to billionaires and mega corporations, he's gutting the very services that keep our communities alive. As your controller, I will fight to bring real revenue to the table, not by cutting services, but by demanding that the ultra-rich and the big corporations finally pay their fair share. Because budgets are more than numbers. They are moral documents. They show the world what we value, and I believe Illinois should value people over profits. When I manage the people's checkbook, I'll do it with the stories of our most vulnerable front and center. I will prioritize paying our bills based on need, not power. I will ensure that small nonprofits, rural hospitals, and underfunded schools don't get left behind while the politically connected jump to the front of the line. Illinois deserves a controller who listens to the people, not the lobbyists. Someone who understands that every dollar that we spend is a reflection of who we are and what we stand for. So let's keep marching, let's keep fighting, let's protect each other, not just in the streets, but in our budgets, in our policies, and in our future. I am Karina Villa, and I am ready to be your controller, the controller for all of us.
Hi, thank you to the Northfield Township Dems for having me here today. I actually grew up in Northbrook, so it's good to be home. My name is Holly Kim, and I have the honor of serving as the Lake County Treasurer up in Lake County, Illinois. And I'm running for Illinois Controller because Illinois deserves an independent fiscal watchdog to carry that baton that Susana Mendoza is graciously passing on. So growing up, my parents had a small shop in Koreatown in Chicago. My dad was a copier and typewriter technician, and my mom did the invoicing. It was a small mom and pop shop, and when I was 12, they wanted better schools and a safer neighborhood, so they moved us up here. I'm a proud product of Northbrook Junior High and Glenbrook North High School. Like every family, we have our hard times, and for me, it was when I unexpectedly had a child in college, which is always hard, but it's even harder when your parents are Asian. They immediately stopped supporting me, and I signed up for WIC, Medicaid, and the Head Start program while working full-time, going to school part-time, and juggling a kid. It took me 8.5 years, but I finally got that degree. And I will tell you that every job I've had since then, because I worked my way through school, was management and director level. My background is in the dot-coms. My brain, it thinks different. I'll tell you, my treasurer's office is an intersection of not only math, but social justice. Susanna Mendoza, the current controller, has been my work mentor for the last 6.5 years. 6, 7. And not only am I currently the treasurer and the controller doing both functions at the treasurer's office, but I would love to tell you about the interest buckets that I have. Not only do I invest in such a way, if there's any county board members, you'll love this, there's this one bucket where the interest, the county board gets to use it. It used to do $2 million, and now that I'm there, it does $6 million. So it pays for my department, and I give $4 million for them to use on their discretion. There's also this other bucket where the property taxes go through, and I negotiated a higher interest rate so that we earned an extra $3.2 million. And I didn't keep that. I distributed it to the schools, the libraries, and the parks. And so there's a school out there that received $140,000 that they never asked for. I know we live in a time where we want from our elected officials tangible deliverables, and I'm one person who delivers. In addition to that, I would love to talk about the future of how campaigns, but also the Democratic Party goes. I think we all know that the playing field has moved. It's not so much that we can ignore technology and social media. I'm a candidate that can not only live stream, but I do podcasts and I do explanation videos. And I think we have to be where the voters are. So I deliver that as well. In terms of social issues, I'm not only a woman who has had an abortion, but also used IVF and have a trans child. What I'm here to say is that these aren't bullet points for me, they're my actual lived experiences in my life. And not only that, I serve in 2 rapid response teams. We are at a point where it's not only who can do this job, but it's who can fight. Because we need to build a bench full of weaponized Democrats who can fight in this new playing field. As someone who served as the co-captain of the girls' golf team at Glover North for 2 years, I'm your athlete on and off the field and in this new playing field. So, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Holly Kim, and it would be the honor of my lifetime for your hometown gal to serve as your next Illinois State Controller. Thank you. And next, we have State Representative Margaret Crowe, who's also running for Illinois Controller.
Thanks, Alex. So I'll get to myself, but I want to hit on Tracy for a second, because I met Tracy working for JB. And I cannot say how lucky this organization is to have a leader like you. Because the moment I met you, your enthusiasm, it was at the Northfield Library, the amount of people you had there, and your dedication to getting Democrats elected is unmatched. So thank you for what you do. And I think that's why I love Tracy so much, is because, like her, I love getting Democrats elected. It's like one of my favorite things. This is actually my 3rd statewide campaign, but it's the first for myself. So I did regional field for Hillary Clinton in 2016. Hi! All right, I'm going to try to get through this, guys, but excuse my guest speaker here. So I did field for Hillary Clinton in 2016, so hopefully that gives me some credit after what Christian said about field being the people that you trust. And then I worked as a director of women's outreach for Governor Pritzker's campaign in 2018. But when I'm not on campaigns, I work in public service. I am dedicated to public service. I got a high since working at Cook County government, where you answer a phone and you're able to help someone figure out their day or their month and just make their life a tiny bit better. So I worked at the county, the city, and the state. So before I was, thank you. It's why we all do government, right? We're just trying to make everyone's life a little bit better. Yes, ma'am, 1 moment. But so before I was a state rep, I was the deputy chief of staff over at the Department of Commerce. And we took that office over after Bruce Rauner completely decimated government. And being in an administrative role during that time and having to rebuild and having to put money back and having to hire people, it's something that I hold very dear, because when you are trying to rebuild government and you care so much and you're seeing that happen, you just throw yourself into it, and that's what I want to do as controller. I want to be that person who is dedicated, who is an administrator, who is caring about the people that we are serving in the state of Illinois. And as a state rep, I really try to focus on economic development and workforce. And now I'm the chair of financial institutions, so I've become the foremost authority in payment processing, fintech, and depositories. Everything that you associate with the comptroller's office is something that I've spent 5 years dedicating my life to. But my why, and the reason that I do public service, other than chasing that that good feeling, is my kids. I've got a 5-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 2-year-old, and every time I look at a bill, every time I vote on something, I'm thinking about how is this going to impact them and every single kid in the state of Illinois. I know, like many of you in this room, that we cannot give them the economic opportunities that they deserve if we do not have a financial house that is in order. I have been on the front lines of investing in healthcare and education and our social service safety net, but we cannot do those things. We cannot protect our most vulnerable communities if we do not have a funding source. So what I can promise you is that if I'm lucky enough to be your next comptroller, and I say comptroller, by the way, I say it how it's spelled because I feel like you don't want to spend 30 seconds explaining what the office is. I will maximize every single taxpayer dollar that goes through that office. That I want to make sure that we are getting every single federal match that is on the table, so we don't have to come back to you and ask to raise your taxes. And I think that is incredibly important. I know I can't do that by myself. I believe in relationships. I believe in the legislature and my partnerships, but I'm going to dedicate myself to that mission, whether it's modernizing our systems, like I said, federal match, or making sure that we are using these dollars to the most capable, the best extent that we possibly can. And I've gotten to this point, I get to this analogy all the time right now, where I think about that we're juggling so much, right? And we're just trying not to drop the balls that are glass. And government feels, especially at the federal level, like it is a hand that is smacking those balls out of the air for us. Whether it is disinvestment in Head Start, or SNAP, or the tax on our state. But I want to get back to a place where government is a helping hand, helping us keep those balls in the air. Yes, ma'am, one moment. I'm closing it up, I promise. So I'm so excited to be here with you in this room. She's gonna take a nap, and I hope on March 17th that I can count on your vote in the primary. I appreciate you all so much. Thank you.
Give it up again for our comptroller candidates.
Everybody, I'm next in line. My name is Stephanie Kifowit, and I'm a state representative. I did serve with Kristen Mitchell, and I have been working for quite a long time as a state representative. To be quite honest, I have over a decade of experience as a state representative, because in this race, experience matters. So when I first got sworn in, I worked with Judy Bar Topeka as a controller of our state under Governor Quinn. And then we had I gotta say it, the hand-picked controller from Bruce Rauner, Leslie Munger, that I worked with, and I worked on the budget working group, as was mentioned, on that budget impasse, and we worked hard to end the 2.5-year budget impasse that crippled our state. And then I had the pleasure of working and continue to work with Susanna Mendoza, making sure our rainy day fund is over $2 billion and making sure that our budgets are balanced. And this is, of course, when 2019, when Governor Pritzker came to office, things turned around. So, ladies and gentlemen, I have 20 plus years experience in government finance. I was a registered financial advisor, and I was elected to the Aurora City Council when my son was 1. He is now 24 and serving our country in the United States Navy. My father, My daughter was 4, and she is now 28, getting her degree in Northern Illinois University in accounting, and she is married to a firefighter who also serves in the Army Illinois National Guard, just like Christian Mitchell. So I have been doing this a long time, ladies and gentlemen, because I believe experience is so important to know what the Chief Financial Office does. And I know that. The Controller's Office manages $124 billion. So we have 700 special funds that go into 8 fund categories. The one category you guys hear a lot about is the general fund. But we also have the highway fund. We also have our debt service fund. We also have our transfers out fund. We have all sorts of funds that go in and out of this office. So it's not just about cutting checks. It's about actual numbers. And I know these numbers because I've worked with each and every controller that I spoke with. Leslie Munger kind of not so much. But the other ones that I have, and 16 million transactions go through this office, ladies and gentlemen. There's 235 employees. This is what the office is about. Numbers, dollars and cents. Making sure that the budget that I've approved for the last 12 years, that we've been in budget working groups then and now. I'm currently in the budget working group. So experience matters. I also believe life experience matters. Life experience matters. I too, similar to Christian Mitchell, am a child of a single mom. I spent a lot of time with my grandparents. My grandmother had one pair of shoes for her whole life when she was a child, and her feet were permanently disfigured, and she worked in a factory. My grandfather came over when he was 17 from Poland, and he was a head waiter, and they made it work. My mother ultimately married an IBW 117 benefits office employee. So union is in my blood, in my childhood. My first car was a 1987 Ford Escort. Anybody remember that? A couple of you do. Got the manual windows, right? Hello. When I was 17, I joined the United States Marine Corps, and my first airplane ride was when I was 18 going to boot camp. I served my country proudly, and I was able to go to school on the GI Bill, Northern Illinois University, and I got my master's degree in public administration. Life experience matters. Financial experience matters. As a registered financial advisor, the state controller sits on the investment board of the pensions, and I'm the chair of pensions. These things matter. They matter because the dollars and cents of the state right now is under attack. Right now, the federal government is poised to withhold $1.5 billion of funds that go to Illinois. I have experience standing up for Illinois because experience matters. I have stood up and spoken out when we need to. And during the runner years, this is the exact same playbook as you're seeing right now in the federal government. So the backstop is the controller's office. It's so important. We've seen these games from Bruce Rauner. We're seeing them from the president today. Exact same playbook. So the backstop is the controller's office to make sure working men and women are taken care of. I have over a 90% voting record from the AFL-CIO. I voted for every provision in wage law, and I've been a co-sponsor, a chief co-sponsor on those laws as well. So I won't let union folks live high and dry. Those contractors have to pay their fair share, pay into their benefits, and pay their prevailing wages, which I will uphold. So I will leave you with this. First, I'm going to say, go Bears. And then secondly, I'm going to say, thank you all. Because as was mentioned, Democrats are the ones sticking up for the Constitution. Democrats are the ones sticking up for free speech. Democrats are holding our accountable, and from the bottom of my heart, and for my son who's serving, my son-in-law who's serving, and I who's serving, our veterans who gave their lives for our Constitution. Thank you, Democratic Party, for doing what's right, being on the right side of history. Thank you so much, Stephanie Kipowicz, running for controller, and I appreciate you so much. Thank you all.